Okay, so I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. So, I am starting a new YouTube channel, and it's allegedly Lindy. Hi. So, my real name is Lindsay, but my nickname is Lindy. And yeah, I have another YouTube channel under my legal name, and I've had that channel for probably 11 or 12 years now, at least. So, and it's not that it didn't work out. I have a very small following, but I have a following. And yeah, I mean, mostly I just keep most of my videos on there anymore because of really evidence, because of how some legal matters turned out in my life. I am a litigation paralegal. I'm not really happy in my career field anymore. My specialty in law is collections law, some bankruptcy. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just not really feeling it anymore. I haven't been. And I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward. I mean, I might go back to being a paralegal, and go back into the business world, the corporate world, maybe. I'm not really sure where I really want to go. In terms of stability, I prefer the corporate world rather than the legal world. So far, I haven't found working with lawyers to be an incredibly stable position. Whereas corporate America, I have more stability. Now, my specialty in law tends to be corporate law. And there's some stability there, but not as much as I need from actual just corporate America, regular business. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really in a weird place with my career. I never intended for my career to go into law, but it did. And I'll get into all that more later. Um, I want to have a YouTube channel without all the drama in my life. It gets old. Not that I won't discuss things, but I want to do it in a different context, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I might post occasionally to my other channel, but it's just not really a focus of mine anymore. And like I said, a lot of videos are mostly just for evidence-based purposes. There's a lot of pain associated with that channel. So, and what's weird about it is, it all started as a makeup channel, many, many moons ago, 12 plus years ago. It all started as a makeup channel. I was just doing it in my free time when I was bored to discuss makeup and stuff like that, because I mean, I am really into all of that. And I think a lot of people associate with the fact that if you're into makeup and fashion and things of that nature, that automatically makes you some type of person. And that's not the case, because I'm very well educated, very well studied, very careered woman. But oftentimes I feel like my actual career is far less fulfilling. There was a time where I felt like my career was fulfilling, and it just doesn't feel that way anymore, And I got thrown under the bus a lot. I got used a lot. I got manipulated a lot. I noticed, my career really started struggling when I got into law more aggressively. And, they're lawyers, and I'm not going to say any names or call anybody out specifically, but, there's a lot of slime balls in law. And it just it it didn't really work out how I'd hoped it would, you know. And you think a lot of that, like the jokes about lawyers, are, I take a joke with a grain of salt. I figure there's always a little element of exaggeration there. But I find oftentimes jokes about lawyers, how low they're going. Like, I mean, they could be really raising the bar a lot higher, how shitty lawyers can be. So, like I said, I'm not going to mention anybody specifically by name. But lawyers have a magical way of doing fucked up shit to you to turn it around to make them look like the victim. And I mean, that's what they're trained to do, but sometimes you can be too good at that. And, I'm always wary of somebody that's too good at that. And there was a bunch of lawyers that really took advantage of, what I was going through in my personal life at the time. And that's a little too dog eat dog world for me, to take advantage of somebody to that degree when they're clearly seriously struggling in their personal life. And I didn't really go into it heavy with them. I hold back on some elements of my personal life until I feel like, they're really starting to cross lines and they need to be made aware that, I'm going through some very heavy shit in my personal life. You need to back off. And, they didn't back off. They didn't care. And not that I expect lawyers to read me a bedtime story or anything. It's not that. It's just I'm a specific type of paralegal. I can do normal paralegal work, but I'm a litigation paralegal, so I actually help the lawyers litigate cases. So it's not exactly usually logging in court dates in a calendar and, emailing with clients as much. I mean, I've done those roles and I do them effectively, but yeah, for me, I'm better tuned and better suited for being a litigation paralegal, just strictly working on the litigative end of everything. Most of my outside contact of the law office is with a judicial assistant or something of that nature. So, yeah, I mean, some people in my life made it clear that what I had alleged all along is turning out to be true. I was very angry about that because how everybody tried to gaslight the situation and try to make me seem like I was crazy when I called it from the start. So I was just like, because I mean, as soon as some certain things happen, I was like, this is my family. I know you're messing around with the Rockwell shit and my family, and I'll go into Rockwell shit at a later date. But my family aren't great people, and I think a lot of people at work make the false assumption that everybody has family to lean back on, and if your family's not in your life, that's automatically somehow your fault. That's not the case with me. I don't have family to lean back on. It's just me, pretty much. And my family's not in my life because they are deeply, deeply depraved and very fucked up individuals. And I love certain people in my family still, but I love them from a distance because that's what's healthiest for me. And yeah, I mean, I'm just ready to move on to another chapter. My nickname is Lindy. My papa gave me that nickname. He most of the time, 95% of the time, he called me Papa's baby. I walk in the room, oh, there's Papa's baby. How's Papa's baby? That's all he ever said to me. But my name is Lindsay, but he was too country to say Lindsay, so he called me Lindy, and that's my name. And I'm a Papal's girl. I'm not a. I'm not. I was close to my mom, sometimes my dad, a time or two, but I wasn't really super close to my parents. I was close to my Papa, my Papa Tony. So, and he died right before I got married to my ex husband. He died when I was 24. And that was incredibly difficult for me to deal with. That was a huge loss for me personally. And he didn't get to see me get married. He didn't get to see my son. That's been incredibly difficult for me. And my papa, he was a World War II vet. He was like a real World War II vet. He was over in Europe. He got blown up over there, lost his hearing, a lot of other things. And yeah, I mean, I as far as my family goes, he was the person I was probably closest to. And he's not even my real papa, he's my step papa. But he and my mama got married before I was even born. And he was the papa that raised me, whenever my grandparents came around. My real papa on that side of my mom's dad, her real dad, I did know him, and I had close moments with him, and I cared about him and loved him. He did the best he could with what he had. He was a troubled man in certain ways, but I mean, I did love him and care about him. And yeah, I mean, so moving forward, that's kind of where I'm going with my life. I had to work really hard because I have a lot of negative feedback, most of it untrue, but a good chunk of it, and highly exaggerated. I have a lot of negative feedback, negative feedback coming my way. And it's all the time. And people get sick of hearing everything that's wrong with them, or everything somebody thinks is wrong with somebody all the time. That gets old really fast. And I find myself saying oftentimes, if you can't really find good things that you like about me or anything, why do you have me around? Because I really end up feeling used a lot. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people in my life, whatever way they're in my life, work, friends, social, whatever, if you're giving me all this negative feedback, that's how you feel about me. And remember, feelings aren't facts. But if that's how you feel about me, and it's always negative, I'm not going to stick around just to be your punching bag. That's not any way to live a life. So, I mean, people just don't understand, like, how grating they really are. People just aren't getting, like, how most people really don't want to be around that kind of negativity all the time. And because then you're in a bad mood, then you feel like shit, and it takes everything I have in me to remember anything good about me. And really, honestly, I ask people what they like about me. Usually I get smart and pretty. I get really shallow, vapid, vain answers. And yeah, I am smart, and I guess, I could say I'm generally attractive female, and especially for my age, but that's a backwards ass backhanded comment as well. So, and I'm only getting older. 20 years from now, I'm not going to look like this. So, and I'm not really, I don't have the funds, nor I really care about doing a lot of plastic surgery. So, yeah, I mean, it's only downhill from here. And that's fine. I'm kind of I'm trying to do the aging gracefully route as much as I can. I do take care of myself, but nobody just wants to be thought of as just merely pretty. I'm not an ornament on a tree. So, yeah, and sure, yeah, I'm smart, but I don't think of myself as Einstein either. And I know my intelligence has its limits, like most people's do. Most people have a limit on their intelligence. And I feel like, truly being smart, you understand that you have a limit on your intelligence. You can't be smart about everything in life either. So, I mean, sure, there's generally smart, and I am definitely that, but am I an expert on everything ever? No. That's far from the case. I mean, my expertise, especially in the career world, definitely are in collections law, some bankruptcy law. I have a general knowledge of law, and I have a slight edge of intermediate knowledge of other types of law. But my expertise are in collections law. That's where my strengths are. That's where my strengths lie. And I'm also, it's not that I'm jaded, I'm burnt out. And the thing is I haven't worked in collections in a while. But I mean, they just burned me so bad, and they did it while I was going through such a horrifying time in my life. And I just feel completely used up. I feel completely unseen, unheard, and a lot of companies don't get, when you try to flip it back on somebody and you're working too hard to flip it back on somebody, sometimes that'll snap back on you. And it can become a really bad look really fast. Especially what they've been messing around with in my personal life. So, yeah, I mean, and just watching people try to paint me as the bad guy when I'm sitting there telling them about some very, very awful personal life shit in an effort to get them to kind of back off with some of their social office politics. Because at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. We're all there just to work. And I've had people come at me about being incompetent because I didn't fit in socially. And it's just like, listen, baby, I'm here for a paycheck and to work. That's ultimately why we're here. And I'm here. I don't show up late. I don't really call in. If I'm not there, I'm usually taking my PTO. And I do my job, and I do my job effectively. That's not incompetence at work. So, yeah, I mean, and they had people there. One group of people, they all lived together. It was these 3 kids. They didn't show up for 3 weeks. That's insanely incompetent. So, yeah, I mean, it was just like, whoa. I mean, these people are, I mean, they have a bad reputation anyways, a really bad reputation. And it's kind of notorious, like you go there just to get a paycheck and get work. And, the whole area in general where I was working before, it's a very depressed job market in a depressed job market. So that's one of the places, you can go get work. They have a massive turnover rate, horrifying management. It's a mess through and through. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of the worst offices I've ever seen in my life. And I don't mean that in a good way. In any shape or form. I mean, they desperately need to clean house there. I mean, it's unprofessional through and through. Um, and what's worse is they try to convince everybody they're so professional. And it's clear to me they haven't worked in many professional work environments. Also, there is the added bonus, I've gone through a lot in my life, and how I came into my legal career wasn't a traditional route. And, I spent a lot of my years doing blue collar work as well before I even really got into the office jobs. And I have a blue collar mindset. My dad was a blue collar guy. Most of the men in my family were blue collar guys. I did blue collar work for years. I have a backup career in manufacturing. And, I was raised by blue collar people. And I mean, and even my work at AT&T, corporate AT&T, it's white collar work, but it has a kind of a blue collar vibe to it. I'm a unionized collector. That's where I got my start. I was a union worker at AT&T. And yeah, I mean, that's been a long time, and I really try not to rehash that as much as possible. But anyway, and because I was with AT&T for a long time, and there was a lot of good memories, but there's a lot of bad ones. Excuse me. And then I did I was a unionized collector at AT&T. Excuse me, at corporate AT&T. And I moved into legal collections, and I became a non-attorney debt collector. And I've done some medical collections. I've dabbled in pretty much everything with collections, just about. And then I went into litigating collections. And yeah, I mean, am I good at what I do? Sure. I am really good at what I do, especially when it comes to collections law. Am I the best? I don't know. I don't really care anymore. I'm a very, very good collector. I am really good at what I do there. I'm fairly pretty goddamn good at litigating collections. And I work very thoroughly. I work very fast. Once I get into my zone and get into my groove, I'm just a machine. I just breeze on through it. I just don't know how I feel about it anymore. I did all that work, I earned millions a year as a collector. And it's not like I'm sitting on millions personally. Not that I ever really got in it to be mega rich, but, a lot more comfortable than what I am. And I feel completely used. I feel completely uninspired. I feel like I've definitely proven that I'm a real asset, and I'm not seeing a return on my time and effort put into something for years. And that's a problem. That's a very major problem. And for people to take advantage of my personal life the way they did while I was working my ass off is a major problem. And it just leaves me, it had left me quite a few times to a place where I was thinking mentally, who the fuck raised you people? Were you people raised by fucking wolves? And what they do with all that, though, is because, you take so much, you take so much, you take so much, and then finally you snap, you react because you can't take anymore. Because I'm a human being, I mean, I have feelings, and it's not that I didn't have them the entire time. It's just, I was trying to remain professional. I was trying to keep it together. I was trying not to give in to the constant, secondhand comments, backhanded comments, the real subtle harassment, the real subtle bullying, you know, and you know, it was just, it was a lot. You know, at the time my mom was dying, I was very angry at her and very angry about her dying. Because before I found out she was dying, we weren't in a good place at all, you know, and she didn't really seem too interested in trying to make that up. And you know, at the end of the day, she's the parent, but that's a long story. And um, you know, I had just come out of a very, very, very harmful, awful relationship, very abusive relationship, and I litigated that myself. And you know, I felt like people were just taking complete advantage and using the situation to taunt me, which is very, very, very fucked up. That is all the way fucked up in the head. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just in a really weird place in my life, in my career. I really don't know what I want to do anymore. The bloom is off the rose with law. If I had to go back to a paralegal job to make a paycheck, fine, so be it. Because I am a good paralegal. Am I the best paralegal out there? In a traditional law office, no. In a collections law office, I'm one of the top, but that's what I specialized in. In a normal law office, could I work my way up to being one of the top? Probably, really fast. Do I care as much anymore? Not really. Maybe 5 years ago, but anymore. I mean, am I going to do the bare minimum? No, but I'm not going to go out of my way either, you know? So, and, I am a really good paralegal. Am I striving to be the best one anymore? Not as much. Um, and law is a very competitive career field, anyways. But the thing is, you know, I've already proven myself a long time ago with all of that. So, I mean, once you've earned a corporation millions in collections, I mean, you know, the proof is in the pudding. I'm a very, very, very proven asset to a company or business. So, yeah, the thing is I really, really resent them putting me in social situations that turns me into a social liability. I don't need that in my life. They for damn sure don't. So I don't know why they go there to begin with. I don't need that because I am there to work. I mean, sure, everybody goofs off a little bit, but I really am there to work. That's usually what I'm doing at work, is working. So, I mean, it was just baffling to me that they were just trying to play me that way, because it was a work environment. You know, the proof is in the pudding. I was there doing my job. So, I mean, I was really upset about that, especially when they were so incompetent. They couldn't even get our class environment, our training environments to calm down so you could even hear yourself think, to read the material and all the rest of it. I mean, it was a nightmare all the way around, and they were desperate for a patsy or a fall guy, and they just couldn't come to terms with the fact that, you know, they're their own worst enemy. So they didn't pay me my last paycheck. I mean, it was a nightmare. They they threw me under the bus 3 days after my health insurance kicked in. I mean, it was just a nightmare. And I have very serious health problems. I need my health insurance. That's not a want. That's a need. And once you start messing around with how I pay my bills, how I feed myself, how I keep a roof over my head, how I keep my health insurance, that's not funny. That's not a joke. You're messing with somebody's very real life shit. And, I'm not really in the mood to hear about child this, child that with all the Rockwell shit. And like I said, that's a different video for a different time. I'm not really in the mood to hear about that because I'm a 42-year-old woman with 42-year-old bills. And nothing is changing that fact. There isn't anything you're going to say to get around that. And it's not a joke. And you've completely obliterated everything I've worked for theoretically and philosophically. And you can make it a joke all you want, but that doesn't take away. You think you're just going to obliterate collections departments across America? Who the fuck do you think you are? So, I mean, yeah, you're really just one step away from tearing down the capitalist system. Listen, I'm not a big fan of capitalism either, but this is the country I live in. That's the economic system that was set up for the country. I have to adhere to the rules, whether I like it or not. So, I mean, take your philosophical ideals for yourself. If you want to live your life some type of way, great. But keep it the fuck out of mine. And, that's where I'm really at with a lot of it. None of it's a joke. I mean, people in that one particular office scared me so bad that, I emailed collections attorneys that I used to work for. I'm just like, please do anything you can. Take their names and send them to the SEC, because we're regulated by the SEC as collectors. Just get rid of them. That's how bad they scared me with their behavior, with their attitudes, with their complete lack of professionalism. And see, they poke and poke and poke and poke and poke, and then they put you in a place where you react because you just can't take anymore, and then you're just like, what the fuck? And then they turn it around to make you the bad guy. They don't understand what they did to themselves. So yeah, I'm just in a really weird place in my career. I'm in a really weird place in life in general. And I really just don't know what I want to do going forward. Mostly, I'm seriously considering just going back to manufacturing and just wearing fucking steel toes and earplugs and a hard hat. And the machines are so loud, nobody can hear each other talk. You can't even think. All you can do is work. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. And for damn sure, manufacturing almost always has overtime. So, it's just like, I might as well just go back to that. Because I'm a blue collar mindset originally, and I don't play office politics. It's just not my thing. It's not that it's the joke's lost on me with their stupid office bullshit. It's not that the politics are lost on me. It's not that the irony is lost on me. It's just, I don't give a fuck. So, I really just don't care. I'm really there just to work law or work whatever and do my job and go home. Pretty much. Some of the behavior, it wasn't even middle school grade level. like behavior, bullying. I mean, it was bad. It was stupid. Um, and yeah, sure, you find the rare law office. They're there to work. They're there to get shit done. They're there to learn, to churn out cases, to get shit done. And a lot of lawyers are that way. But trust me, there's plenty of office politics with the law office too. It's just a different type. But I don't play the game. I don't play office politics. I'm I got too much going on in my real life to care about all that shit. And because it's just like, a lot of times I just end up looking at people having all these little mini dramas at work, and it's just like, God damn it, get some real fucking problems. Get some perspective. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I might occasionally post to my other channel. Moving forward, this will be my new channel. And I'm not giving into it this time. I'll save it for the other channel if I have to give into it. But I'm not giving into it this time. I'm not flipping a gasket. I'm going to do my damnedest to not give into it this time. Because I'm really sick of it. I mean, I'm completely worn out by it. They beat the dead horse, and they beat the horses down to its bones, and the bones into dust. I mean, they're just beating at a dust pile now. And even if they had any argument to make, it's so far gone that, I mean, and they did so much that, I mean, their argument is completely, entirely just invalid. It always kind of was. Especially certain elements of the argument, completely racist, sexist, a lot of rape culture mindset, completely misogynistic, just raging misogyny, raging racism. And, you know, I just find myself thinking, and, then they start picking apart at my name, and they start picking apart at just weird shit about me. And it's just like, it just goes to show me, you never had an argument at all. You have to insult my name. Yeah, I mean, for starters, I have no control over my name. My parents gave me that name when I was born. And I was born in the early 1980s when every other baby was named Lindsay. There was a class I had in high school. It was a health class. There were 7 Lindsays in the class. And, so for the times, I have a very common name. Not to mention, I'm named after my mom's twin sister. And it's just like, I mean, and then they're all doing it under the guise that they know me or know anything about my family or know anything about that. And just completely stupid, insensitive, just grasping at straws bullshit. And I don't know, I'm just in a place where I really burnt out. I really don't give a fuck. I try to find inspiration, I try to find motivation. I mean, it takes everything out of me. It takes every ounce of being I have. Because I really, really, I just do not give a fuck. Like this right now. This is taking everything I got. I mean, this is exhausting me. We're 40 minutes into a video. I'm exhausted. Like, I'm just fucking exhausted. I am mentally, emotionally, just completely exhausted. And is that really how you all want to be known? All you do is emotionally and mentally exhaust people, make them feel used, make them feel mentally and emotionally abused at the very least. Because that's, and a lot of them, you know, they have a track record for doing this to a lot of other people. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at with it. And yeah, if you can't find something valid to say about me that you actually like, if you're only, then usually I come to the conclusion pretty fast that, you know, they're only having me around as an emotional punching bag, a mental punching bag. And who wants to live their life like that? You know, I don't come to work so you can sort out your fucking mommy issues or whatever the fuck you got going on. Find a therapist. But God forbid you have to do anything ethical. Like find a therapist where you're bound to ethical, legal boundaries, them and you. And you can't cross certain lines, they can't cross certain lines. There's very clear guidelines, and you can't cross that line. And they can't cross it either. God forbid you sort out your issues in a real place where there are clear rules and everybody has to abide by them. And if they don't, one way or the other, there's big trouble. But God forbid you be emotionally vulnerable and have to remain ethical in any arena. And see, that just goes to show what a fucking joke you all really are. And you are a joke, all right. And I'm just getting really, really tired. I'm tired of, I mean, I'm just at a place anymore where it's just like, say whatever you want. I don't even fucking care anymore. I'm just straight out writing cease and desists, making it clear, say whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a fuck, but if you take it much further, I'll see your ass in court. And I had mentioned in a prior video on my other channel, you know, there's been a lot of curse in my legal career. A lot of, I feel like all of it was just a curse. But that has been a blessing because I learned a lot, obviously. And I'm rusty as a paralegal. I haven't been in it for a minute, and it's not that it's hard to get back in the game. It's just I'm in a really bad headspace. And some of these cease and desists are going out to my family members, you know, and that's a really rough headspace. It's depressing. It's depressing to do. It's a very, very depressing thing to write your own sister a cease and desist to stop slandering me. I mean, that is so absurd to have to do to begin with. I mean, it's just like, my God, what makes you think? What snaps you all out of it? And you know, and it's not like I was trying to snap anybody in it, trying to hurt them. But they for damn sure go for the jugular with me. And yeah, so I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So hopefully this channel can grow and evolve in a positive direction, because I started my other channel out in a positive place and it ended up where it is. And that's incredibly sad. And I always try to steer it back on course, and it just never, I mean, it was just, it got completely taken over by everybody's stupid drama. And I wasn't ever really starting it to, I wasn't banking on being some like YouTube guru or anything. I was just trying to find a community or a place or wherever where I felt like I belonged. And I don't know what that is anymore. I don't know where I fit in. I don't know where I feel comfortable. I don't know what would make me happy anymore. I've been everywhere. I've tried everything, trying to figure out if there's just anything that makes me feel like I'm at home again. And I'm just not getting it. I feel closer to my cats than 99.99999% of people. Which I mean is normal, but it's also not normal. So I'm hoping moving forward, you know, when it's all said and done 5-10 years from now, I'm not in this place. I'm in a much better place. Because the other channel, it started out in a very positive note, as positive as I could make it at the time, and my life turned into a horror show. And I never, ever came close to doing anything remotely close to other people's lives, what they've done to mine. So I'm not really sure where everybody gets off telling me a joke is on me, because I have never crossed the lines people have crossed in my life. My kid's life. So moving forward, I hope this will have a better outcome, because I really don't know what to say, do, or think anymore. It is pathetic. It's all pathetic. From top to bottom, it's just completely, entirely horrifying and pathetic. And I hope I don't feel that way anymore.